Storage. So till here in the previous lectures, so we have seen how a crystal looks like. So what are the imperfections in that one? So how those imperfections are used for a betterment of a properties of a materials. So as we move on, now we will take up the next important thing in the material science, that is diffusion. Now the diffusion, see, as the name itself indicates, a material is diffused into the other. See, if there is a space, then whatever the materials we are going to diffuse into the other materials can occupy the space. If there is no space, then the material will not be able to accommodate within the things. So again, just to recall, whatever the things we discussed in a APF, that is a atomic packing factor. If you again recall, so in the simple cube we had a 52 percentage, in the BCC we had a 68, and in the FCC and HCP we had a 74 percentage. Okay, means the remaining percentage is a free space. So as we told in the point defects also, if the interstitial position, that is a space between the atoms, is enough to accommodate the foreign atoms, so then we can have a interstitial alloying elements in the alloys. Okay, so in a parent metal. So here now one thing you need to remember here, say whenever something is diffusing from some point to other point means there should be some gradient. Okay, so if say for example, maybe in a slope, if you're going to pour a water, okay, from top to the down, so then it will go because of that slope, means there is a gradient, in linear gradient in the slope. Okay, so even in the same way, so if you are going to light up an agarbatti in a corner of a room. Okay, so if you're standing in a other corner, see, slowly the fragments will migrate, or it will diffuse from one corner to the other corner. Okay, so like that, if you take any example, or maybe, so you might have seen, if you take a bucket of water and if you're going to inject an ink into that one, okay, it takes us some time to spread out. Okay, that is also an example for a diffusion. Okay, so when it comes to the materials, okay, so in a crystalline materials, so diffusion is no is defined as a mass transport. Okay, a mass flow in terms of atomic motion. Okay, mass flow in terms of atomic motion from original site to the neighboring site. So when it is moving from original site to the neighboring site, what it means, the neighboring site should be a vacant one. Okay, so if there is a vacancy, then only it can move. If not, so it can replace that neighboring atom. That is what we say substitutional. Okay, so when it is going to happen, so when sorry, the material, the atom is having enough energy to replace the neighboring atom, so then that type of diffusion can occur. If not, what can happen, the space between the atom, so if the atom, that is the foreign atom is of a smaller atomic radii, so if it is going to occupy the space between the atom, that is the interstitial position, then it can easily migrate from one interstitial position to the other interstitial position. So what are all these things? Okay, one vacancy diffusion, or a substitutional diffusion, or a interstitial diffusion, we'll see one by one. But to have all these diffusions, there should be a concentration gradient, or there should be enough energy which is available for occurrence. Okay, so now if we keep two bodies which are at a different temperature, so obviously natural flow of heat will take place from a high temperature to the low temperature. Means now in between those two objects there is a thermal gradient. Okay, that is a difference in the heat. So now what we are talking about atomic diffusion. Okay, so here there is a concentration gradient. Okay, means the concentration of the atoms are high at some point, and they want to distribute themselves uniformly. Okay, within a prescribed boundary. Okay, at that time, so if there is a concentration gradient, then the atom can move from one position to the other position. So now even the same thing will happen with the electronic movement. Okay, so electron movement is nothing but a current. Okay, so to flow or to have a current, naturally the charge, that is a concentration of the charge, should be more from one region to the other region. So even the same thing will happen with the magnetic flux also. Okay, so magnetic flux, the charged particle will move from one part to the other part. Okay, so like that, whenever it wants to move. Okay, whenever an object or a cluster of atoms want to move from one position to the other position, then there should be a gradient. Okay, so whatever I said, atomic diffusion, okay, there are few mechanisms. Okay, so it can follow any one of the method depending upon the availability. Okay, the first one we call as a vacancy diffusion. So what is vacancy diffusion? We said what is a vacancy? Vacancy is nothing but an atom is missing from its prescribed site. Okay, so if it is missing from its place, so that is a vacancy. Okay, so now there are chances like the surrounding atoms can come and occupy that vacancy. So when a surrounding atom is going to occupy that site, it leaves behind one more vacancy. Okay, again there is a chance that the neighboring atom can occupy that vacancy, like that. See, whenever a vacancy is filled, so it gives beyond one more vacancy. Means it creates a one more vacancy. Means the surrounding atoms can come and occupy. So that is what is a vacancy diffusion. So next one is interstitial. So interstitial diffusion, what I said, if the foreign atom is having a smaller radii which is equal or lesser than the interstitial position between the atoms. Okay, interstitial atom is nothing but what I said, it's a free space. It's a free space, okay, which is available between the atoms. Okay, so that can be accommodated in the atoms. Okay, between the atoms, that is what is a interstitial. So now that whatever the atom which is going to occupy the interstitial position can move through the interstitial position adjacent to that one. Okay, so which requires a less energy compared to the uh, remaining mechanisms. Okay, next one is exchange and ring diffusion. So exchange and ring diffusion is nothing but a substitutional diffusion. So substitutional diffusion, what I said, if the parent and the foreign atom is having a equal radii or almost equal radii, or if the difference between that one is not more than 15%, then they can have a exchange, that is a substitutional. Means if A and B are beside to each other, okay, so A can go to the B place and obviously B will come to the A place. That is what is the exchange, or we can say A substituted B. Okay, so like that also, so A atom can move from one place to the other place. So that is what is a exchange and ring diffusion. So what are these diffusions? We'll see one by one. So this is what is a vacancy diffusion looks like. See now here, so this is a plane of atom. This whatever the uh, white color, so is a vacancy. So now what will happen? So when there is a enough energy available, then this atom can migrate from year to year. So when it migrates, it leaves behind one vacancy here. Okay, so like that it can continue here also. Okay, so the surrounding atom which is having enough energy to migrate from its original place to the vacancy, easily it can migrate. Okay, so this is what is vacancy diffusion. So vacancy was here, it moved to here, then it moved to here. Now the vacancy is moving, facilitating the atomic replacement or a diffusion from one place to the other. So that is what atoms exchange with the vacancy applies to substitution impurities, and rate depends on number of vacancies. See, if here here there are more than one vacancy, say for example year 1 and year 1, so then what will happen? So this atom tries to occupy here, this atom tries to occupy here, then the rate of diffusion will be more, and it depends on the number of vacancy. And as I said, I mentioned, see, the if there is a vacancy, atom will not move just like that. Atom will not move just like that. It needs some energy, so that energy we called as a activation energy. Okay, so that energy we called as a activation, means each atom should possess some activation energy to diffuse from its original place to the neighboring site. Okay. Okay, so that is what normally we can observe with this one. So vacancy diffusion again, it is facilitated with the movement of the atoms itself. So now we say it's interdiffusion, interdiffusion or substitutional diffusion. So now you can see, so now whenever we have, say this is a element A and this is a element B, which are having atomic arrangement like this and atomic arrangement like this. So if you're going to drop a concentration profile, it will look like this. So here concentration is more and it drops down, and here the concentration of B is more, it drops down. Now say for example, if you're going to keep these two side by side, and if you're going to leave it for some time, what will happen? So these A atom starts to move from A to the B, and B atom move to B to the A, means the concentration of A is more and it goes down like this. So concentration of the B is more here, okay, and it moves down. Okay, means it takes some time, it will not occur just like that. So if the energy is more, okay, so energy is more, then the diffusion rate will be more. If not, these process will take a longer time. Okay, so in order to excite that one, what we can do is we can heat up those things, or we can increase the temperature inside that one, so which will what you call speed up that diffusion. Okay, next is the self diffusion, or again same substitutional diffusion. So now you can observe here, the C is here A and D and B. Okay, now after some time you can see the position of the C is changed here, the position of B is changed from here to here, A to here to here, and D to here to here, means now the atoms have substituted the surrounding atom. So now in order to move A from here to here, it has substituted this one and this one, means so by step it has moved from here to here. Maybe if the surrounding facilities are favorable, then A can move or diffuse from here to here. Okay, so those are the things. So means something like a, we can say like a self diffusion or a interdiffusion or a substitutional diffusion. We can use any of the terms. So next mechanism, what we said, interstitial. Okay, so interstitial means here, so this space, so whatever these spaces are there, these spaces are called as interstitial spaces. Interstitial spaces means the space between the atoms. Okay, so this is what is a foreign atom. Whatever this atom is a foreign atom. So if the foreign atom is having a atomic radii, okay, which is less than or equal to the interstitial position, so when we are going to add an alloying element to the parent atom, so it is going to occupy the interstitial position. So now you can imagine here, so it was here, okay, the atom was here initially here, so later, so with diffusing through these positions, it occupied here, so from here to here. So later if the things are favorable, it can diffuse from here to here, here to here, here to here, like that and all. So this is what interstitial diffusion means. If you compare the first, that is a vacancy diffusion, to the substitutional and to the interstitial diffusion. Okay, so easily we can say like interstitial position is the one which requires less energy, because the space available is more and easily it can diffuse without much energy. But if you take a vacancy diffusion or a substitutional diffusion or inter diffusion, so for all those things the amount of energy which is required will be more compared to this interstitial diffusion. Means whenever we are going to form alloys, okay, alloys, say the best example what we said, copper and nickel alloy, okay, where we are going to have a substitutional diffusion, or steel where we are going to have an interstitial diffusion where the carbon atoms, okay, these carbon atoms will occupy the interstitial position which is available between the what you call iron crystal, either BCC or the FCC. Okay, so once we know the mechanisms, okay, so what are the mechanisms which are responsible for a diffusion? Okay, so it is either a time dependent or a concentration dependent or a temperature dependent. Okay, so if we increase the temperature, okay, what will happen? The thermal excitation of the atoms will be more, and they start to excite in their own position, that is a vibrate. Okay, so once that frequency of vibration crosses to a particular limit, they will break their bonds and they will be free to move. When they are free to move, the diffusion rate will be more. Okay, and when you take a time, so if at the time t is equal to 0, the diffusion rate will be 0. So once you want to keep it two objects of a different concentration adjacent to each other, and if you're going to leave it for some time, then you can find a in b as well as b in a. Means either there may be a steady state diffusion which is independent of time, it is dependent only on the distance and the concentration, or you can have a non-steady state where it is dependent on the time and temperature. Okay, so the relation between these things, that is a concentration gradient or a diffusion flux and the time and the temperature, is well established by a fix, that is a FICKS fix. Okay, so these diffusion laws are called as a Fick's laws. Okay, one is a Fick's first law which states the steady state diffusion, and one more is a Fick's second law, that is a non-steady state diffusion. So in a steady state, now we are taking this is a and this is a B. Okay, so when we are going to connect these two, so you can see it here, the concentration of the A is a C1, that is a I, at a distance x2. Okay, at the distance x1 the concentration is a C1, at a distance x2 the concentration is a C2. Obviously we can easily find out the concentration is more here, the concentration is less here. Okay, so that is what is concentration gradient they have showed with the decreasing line. Okay, so when it is a linear, if you take the ratio of that one, we can say dc by dx will be equal to del c by del x, that will be equal to c2 minus c1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, so that is what we say like a concentration gradient. Okay, so means the gradient exists between x2 to x1 in terms of c2 to c1. Okay, so now what the first law says is the flux of atoms which are moving, okay, that is nothing but a flux proportional to the concentration gradient. Okay, so we say just like a flux is directly proportional to dc by dx. What is dc by dx? So dc by dx is nothing but a concentration gradient. And so when we are going to say the j is a flux, okay, so j is directly proportional to the dc by dx, that is a flux of atoms moving across a particular area is directly proportional to the dc by dx. So when we remove this proportionality, so we are going to get j will be equal to minus d dc by dx. Okay, so this d is nothing but a what you call proportion of a constant or proportional constant, or we say it as that one as a diffusion coefficient or a diffusivity. Okay, so now you can observe here there is a minus sign. Okay, that minus sign is nothing but there will be a decrease in the atomic moment or concentration down the line. Okay, when we move to the positive, there will be decrease in the atomic concentration down the line. Okay, so that is what is the first law says. You can see it here also. Okay, so when you see here, so Pa, okay, which is more than Pb, that's the concentration. Okay, slope is a dc by dx, which is given by the same thing. Okay, so Ca minus Cb higher to the lower, and xb minus xa. Okay, so that's how exactly we are going to define the Fick's first law. Okay, so now here also if you observe, so same thing whatever we have seen, J will be equal to atoms crossing a unit area in a unit time. Okay, so if I take this is a area. Okay, so here we have atoms. Okay, so these atoms are going to cross this area, that is a area in a unit time, that is a t. Okay, so that is what is a J, that is what we say flux. A flux is a concentration of atoms, or a number of atoms crossing a unit area in a unit time. So whenever we say a flux, it is referred with the a particular unit time is directly proportional to the concentration gradient, or J is directly proportional to dc by dx, or J will be equal to minus dc by dx. Okay, so when we take a unit area, so we can say J will be equal to 1 by a dn by dt. Okay, that will be equal to minus dc by dx. So they are these flux of atom, that is dn by dt, that is a number of atoms crossing unit time in a unit area, will be equal to minus dc by dx, or else we can write dn is equal to minus da dc by dx. Just we moved a from left to the right. So now we can understand here dn by dt is nothing but a number of atoms crossing a unit area per unit time is proportional to the cross section area, that is this one. Okay, so concentration gradient, that is a dc by dx, and when we are going to remove the proportional constant, it is called as a diffusive coefficient, or a diffusivity. Okay, so once you can use either this formula J is equal to minus dc by dx, or whenever they talk about a number of atoms, so we can say dn by dt will be equal to minus da dc by dx. Okay, so ultimately, so either we can use this formula for a Fick's first law, or we can use a dn by dt is equal to minus a da into dc by dx. Okay, so that's how exactly we can tell about the steady state, that is a Fick's first law. Okay, so whatever we have seen it in the previous derivation, the same thing here we are showing, like the flux J is defined as a number of atoms passing through a plane of unit area per unit time. Okay, and here they move with the higher concentration to the lower concentration with the dc by dx. Okay, proportional constant is a d, and there will be a concentration gradient which is going to exit in order to have the diffusion. Okay, so the same thing we have shown it here. Okay, so this slide is very important. Okay, normally many a times we'll get a numerical stating to find out the either diffusion flux, okay, or a number of atoms, okay, or a diffusivity with the help of a given parameters. So here you can find the things like so this is the formula, so this should be a capital J minus dc by dx, so where J is nothing but a number of atoms. Okay, number of atoms per unit area, that is a centimeter square per second, or else we can say mole per centimeter square per second. So this is a very important, either we'll get a meter second, okay, or else we'll get a centimeter per second. That is a very important. Okay, so that is the unit of a J, and the concentration gradient either it can be given, so as we have discussed the diffusion coefficient, so E is dependent on the unit of the diffusion flux. So if you're going to use the diffusion flux in terms of centimeter, then the diffusion coefficient should be in the centimeter square per second. You can see it here. Okay, so if you are going to state this diffusion flux in terms of a meter square, then the diffusion coefficient should be in a meter square. Okay, so why the minus sign? Minus sign state that the flux goes down the concentration, or the negativity of the concentration gradient may be taken as a driving force. So you need to remember the units which we used during the derivations. Okay, so next it's a non-steady state diffusion. Okay, so till here whatever we said, it is a independent of a time, and it only depends on the concentration gradient. Now when it is dependent on the time, okay, so fix a second law. So you can see at a time t is equal to 0, okay, the atoms are here. So after time t, okay, so you can see the atoms are occupying the interstitial position, and the concentration gradient is decreasing over a period of time. So you can see it here. Okay, so as we have seen even in the previous one, okay, so initial concentration here will not be a 0. Okay, so there will be some concentration. So it depends on the distance as well as the a surface, so which is going to encounter the various compositions at different times. So now you can see here also with the concentration and a distance x at a time t is equal to 0, there is an initial concentration, and the concentration at the surface is a 0, and as the time increases, okay, so you can see the change in the concentration gradient. So now to define the non-steady state, so there will be a time factor, that is a concentration with respect to the time, that is a dc by dt will be equal to minus d del square c by del x square. So if we see compositional change is directly proportional to the concentration gradient. So that is what we say. Okay, so when we are going to remove that proportionality of constant, so we will say like the compositional change, that is a dc by dt will be equal to minus d del square c by del x square. Means here also the what you call constant of proportionality is a diffusivity in terms of a meter square per second. So when we are going to evaluate this one to get a simple equation to calculate the various concentration at a different level, so we are going to get Cx minus C naught divided by Cs minus C naught is equal to 1 minus error function x under root 2 under root dt. Okay, so Cx is nothing but the concentration at a distance x. You can see it here. Okay, so this is x, this is a Cx, concentration at a distance x. So C naught is the initial concentration, this one. Okay, so C naught means initial concentration, and Cs is nothing but a surface concentration that you can see from here. Okay, so C naught initial concentration, Cx concentration at some distance x, Cs surface concentration, and d is a diffusivity, t is a time. So we can see this Cx minus C naught divided by Cs minus C naught is equal to 1 minus error function x divided by 2 root dt. So we are going to use this formula to calculate the diffusion rate at different levels. So depending upon the time, say for example, so if I have a plate like this, okay, so if the initial concentration at this level is a C naught, okay, so that is a C naught will be equal to 0. Okay, and the concentration at the surface, this is a Cs will be equal to say some 0.9. Okay, so now we need to calculate a Cx. Say for example, calculate what is a Cx, that is a concentration at a distance Okay, say from here to here, that is a x is equal to 5 mm. Okay, it is a 5 mm. So means so you know c naught, you know cs, you know x, so d is a constant. So they will say after a time of t is equal to 2 hours, you need to calculate what is the diffusion rate from C to here. Okay, that is a C naught to the Cx. Okay, that is a Cx after a time of 2 hours. So D will be given. So you need to calculate what is a Cx using all these things. So how we'll do that, we'll see. Okay. So now where exactly we are going to apply this fixed law. Okay, so wherever it is coming to have a surface hardening methods like a carburizing or a nitriding or a pack carburizing. Okay, so in all these things to calculate how much time we need to diffuse the atoms from a surface to a particular distance, or so you are going to dip the whole object in a dipping medium, that is coating medium, for a few hours. Okay, so you need to calculate so how fast these atoms are going to diffuse from one place to the other place. Those things we can calculate. So now in order to accelerate this diffusion, okay, so if there is no concentration gradient, okay, if there is no concentration gradient which is existing between two parts of a crystal, then how we can initiate the diffusion. So we can initiate the diffusion with the help of supplying some energy, that is what we say activation energy, that is a q. Okay, so that relation between that diffusion and diffusivity with the activation energy with reference to the temperature, so we call that equation as a Arrhenius equation. Okay, the ability of the atoms in a crystal without any imperfections, okay, is difficult. So at that time increasing the temperature, okay, so which in turn supplies the energy, will accelerate the diffusion within the crystal structure. Okay, so in order to calculate that one, so we use an equation called Arrhenius equation. So where d will be equal to d naught e raised to minus q by RT. So Q is the activation energy. So R is a universal gas constant. T is a temperature in a Kelvin. So D naught, again it's a constant. D is a diffusivity. Okay. So by taking a logarithmic on a both side, we can write ln of D will be equal to ln D naught minus Q by RT. Okay. So this will be in the bracket. That will be Q by so RT. So when you are going to draw up a curve, okay, so in reference to the ln of rate, that is a d versus 1 by t, that is a minus 1 by t. So you're going to get a linearity curve. Okay, so where the intersection with the ln of rate is nothing but a constant, that is a ln of c, and the slope of that one is nothing but a q by rt. Okay, so by using this whatever the plot also, okay, so we can calculate how much is the activation energy which we need in order to initiate the diffusion. Okay, so initially if you remember, so we have discussed about three mechanisms. Okay, so one is a vacancy diffusion. Okay, so one is a interstitial diffusion. Okay, and one is a substitutional diffusion. Okay, so substitutional diffusion. So here you can see the energy rate will be like this and like this. Okay, so now here so when we have a vacancy, okay, the energy required for that one will be very high. Okay, so compared to the uh, vacancy diffusion, for a substitutional, okay, so you can see this much is the energy required for a diffusion rate, and again for interstitial it comes down here. Means in order to have the diffusion, okay, so interstitial and a vacancy is preferable than the substitutional. For a substitutional, the energy required for that one to have a diffusion will be very high compared to the interstitial diffusion. Okay, so by that one we can easily understand like to have the diffusion, either we need to have a vacancy or a interstitial one. Okay, so now the very important thing is what are the factors which are going to affect the diffusion. Okay, the first and foremost thing is the temperature. As we said, the temperature, as we increase the temperature, the vacancies or the thermal vibrations of the atoms will increase. In turn, will be breakage of atoms. In turn, the movement of the atoms will be faster. Means as the temperature increases, the diffusion rate will be increasing. And next is the diffusion mechanism. So as I said in the previous slide, so the vacancy and the interstitial diffusion will be having or will require less energy compared to the substitutional one. So always it is preferable to have a interstitial diffusion. Next is the microstructure. So diffusion is faster in a polycrystalline versus a single crystal materials. So because of accelerated diffusion along the grain boundaries and dislocation. See means while discussing the what you call imperfections in the solids, we said the grain boundaries are the regions where we are going to have a distorted atoms. So through those grain boundary, so these atoms can easily move without the barrier of grain boundaries. Okay, so in order to have that one, so in a polycrystalline material, the micro diffusion will be in a faster way. So APF. So if the APF is a high, the diffusion is a less. Means if the atoms are densely packed, the space which is available for diffusion of atoms will be less. So as the APF decreases, the diffusion rate will be more. So like that, we can say for a simple cubic structure which is having an APF of 52%, the diffusion rate will be much faster compared to these things. But we can't say in the same thing if the interstitial position which is available in the crystal structure. Okay, so if it is more, then it can easily move from one side to the other side. Then the grain size. So if the grain size is a fine grain size, so we'll have a faster rate of diffusion. So if it is having a larger grain size, okay, it has to diffuse through the it has to diffuse through the grain boundaries. Okay, so at that time, so if it is having a fine grain size, the atoms can easily move through the grain boundaries. If the number of grains are more, then the grain boundaries will be more, and they can easily pass through those boundary, and the diffusion rate will be faster. Then the atom size. Okay, so the rate of diffusion will be faster when the diffusing atom size is a smaller. So that's an example for a interstitial one. So in the interstitial one, the size of the atoms is a less. Okay, so easily the atom can diffuse through the interstitial position. So next one is a concentration gradient. Okay, so if the concentration gradient is a high, then the diffusion will be faster. Okay, so here easily you can correlate the things to the one by one. Okay, so if you know the diffusion mechanisms properly. Okay, so this is an important question. So where they may ask like explain the factors which influences the diffusion, okay, or which affects the diffusion. Okay, so if not, they may ask like define a fixed first law of diffusion and explain with the equation or derive an expression to calculate the diffusion flux also. Okay, so to have a few numericals based on a fixed first law and a second law, so we'll take up one by one. So let's take a simple example or a numerical where they may ask like calculate the diffusivity of a copper in an aluminium at 1000 degrees Celsius. Okay, so given d naught is equal to, that is diffusivity is equal to 1.5 into 10 power of minus 5 meter square per second, and activation energy q is equal to 126 and r is equal to 8.314. So they have asked to calculate what is a d. So we know d will be equal to d naught e raised to minus q by rt. Okay, that is an Arrhenius equation. Okay, so d naught is given, so q is given, so r is given, t also they have given. So here important thing to be noted here is in the r the temperature is in a Kelvin. So here the temperature given is in the degree Celsius. So means you need to convert the temperature into the degree Kelvin. Okay, so solution. So what are the things they have given? T, d naught, q and r. So what is the formula? Q diffusivity D is equal to D naught e raised to minus Q by RT meter square per second. So once you're going to substitute that one, so you're going to get D will be equal to 1.013 into 10 power of minus 10 meter square per second. Okay, a simple. So here we go with the second problem. So here what we say, a plate of iron is exposed to a carbon rich and carbon deficient conditions on a two sides at a 700 degrees Celsius. Means a plate will be having a one point the concentration is 0 and one point the concentration is a little bit high. If the calculate the diffusion flux, so diffusion flux is nothing but a J. Okay, that you need to remember through the plate. If the concentration, so we know J is equal to, so minus D dc by dx. So what are all the things we need? We need a D, so they have given here. Okay, so we need a dc, that is a C2 minus C1. Okay, that is a 1.2 and a zero point 0.8, and dx, that is a 5 and a 10. Okay, so they have given what are the concentration at two distances. Okay, and they have specified the distances also. So what and all they have given? X1 C1, X2 C2, and a diffusion D. So what we need to find? We need to find a J. Okay, so J will be equal to minus D dc by dx. So substitute everything, you're going to get J will be equal to 2.4 into 10 power of minus 9 kg per meter square second. Okay, a simple problem for 4 marks. Okay, so we'll have one more problem. Okay, that is a numerical based on a diffusion second law. Okay, which is very important. We can say here a 1020 steel is carburized at 927 degrees Celsius. The carbon content at the surface, that is a CS, is 0.9, and the steel has a nominal carbon content of 0.2, that is a C naught. So calculate the carbon content at a distance 0.5 mm, that is a X is equal to 0.5 mm beneath the surface of the gear after 5 hours, that is a T is equal to 5 hours carburizing time. So they have given D927 will be equal to 1.28 into 10 power of minus 11 meter square per second. So when it comes to the data, so they have given the temperature, they have given a C naught, they have given a CS. Okay, so depth of the carburizing X 0.5 and time is 5 hours. So we need to convert that one to the seconds. Okay, so now we need to calculate what is a CS here. Okay, so to find the Cx, find the carbon concentration at a distance of X. Okay, so this is a X here. Okay, so now in order to calculate that one, so we have a fixed second law, that is a Cs minus Cx divided by Cs minus C naught will be equal to error function X under root dt. So substitute everything here. So you're going to get so 0.9 minus Cx divided by 0.7 is equal to error function of 0.5208. So let's say like y is equal to 0.9, where y will be equal to error function of 0.5208. Okay, so this we are saying it as a y. So where y will be equal to this one. Okay, so once you take out this one, y is equal to 0.9, that is y is equal to error function. We are going to look into a table. Okay, so here you can say this is a z value, this is a error function z value. So here error function z value will be equal to y, which lies between two values. So what are the two values? So two values is a 0.5, that is a 0.5205, 0.55, that is a 0.5633. So the value lies in between these two values. So now we have taken here the 0.5 is a 0.5205 and 0.55 is a 0.5633. So we need to find what is the error function of z value with respect to the 0.5208. So by taking interpolation, so you are going to get y is equal to 0.538. 0.538. So we have equation 2 like y will be equal to 0.9 minus Cx divided by 0.7. So you are going to get Cx will be equal to 0.523 percentage. Means so this step is very important. Okay, so where you are going to interpolate that one to calculate the y value. Okay, So in this, whatever the topic we discussed, they may ask like a diffusion mechanisms, or they may ask the fixed laws, or very important is a the factors affecting a diffusion, or they may ask the numericals based on a first law or a second law. Okay, thank you.